Hello everyone, welcome to GGN. This is part 3, the final part for today, Monday, December 3rd, 2012. I'm Darko. My website is ggnonline.com, on YouTube, ddarko2013. Alright, so we left off talking about how in the media they're bringing the hero, the police, the hero theme back. So as they know, the establishment knows that people are, they don't trust the fraternal order of police, the Brotherhood. That's been doing some pretty crazy stuff. But then what? Also the lottery, I noticed. There've been, the whole thing with the lottery, so that a bunch of desperate people can all believe that anything could happen, right? So I left off with this. The dashcam video shows the Seattle cop brutally punching the suspect. It confirmed that an officer delivered a violent punch to a suspect's face in October when he was pinned to the hood of a car. Then a man gets a ticket after running himself over. Pretty interesting. Goes on and says there that he managed to run himself over when the brakes on his pickup truck failed. Reports the Boston Globe. Brian Reynolds tried to slow his truck by sticking out his foot and driving up a hill. The result being that he fell out of the truck, which proceeded to roll over his left leg. Luckily, he suffered only minor injuries, and the truck came to a stop after hitting a fire hydrant. Police rewarded his efforts with a $35 ticket for driving with defective equipment. So, unbelievably, 61% of readers thought that this story was hilarious. I don't think it's that funny, especially when you get a ticket more than $35. He kind of got off pretty lightly with $35 ticket. He could have just got like a $150 ticket. That seems to be the standard minimum for tickets now. We have this individual, this woman, who's actually handicapped, chronic spinal condition. And this cop who was basically not liking the fact that she was either ignoring or just didn't acknowledge or didn't see this cop basically trying to pull her over. So what did he do? He used a police tactic and flipped her car over. It's unbelievable. And the way the media covers it, these headlines, St. Lucie County deputies maneuver flips car he was following, driver questions tactic and arrest. So it says it's an aggressive traffic stop. So it needs greater scrutiny. So let's go check out and see what happened. It goes on here and it says that her Ford Expedition was totaled in the wreck. She's thousands of dollars and her life has been turned upside down. It was on October 28th returning home. And it says that she had set her cruise control at 55, the posted speed limit, when she noticed a deputy's patrol car behind her. It says the deputy didn't have his lights or siren on. She noticed him come alongside her, heard his siren, and everything went crazy. Her car left the road, rolled, and ended up on the driver's side with basically herself hanging upside down in her seatbelt. So it says here that she was slumped over the wheel, probably due to up here it says that she walks double over and has a morphine pump surgically implanted in her spine to alleviate constant pain. It says that she did not slow down from her consistent 57 miles per hour when he turned his blue lights on. So the police officer, a revenue collector who's watched too many cop movies, has initiated a maneuver that's called precision immobilization technique, an aggressive technique used to stop fleeing vehicles by tapping their rear bumper and spinning them off the road. So the woman's lawyer says here he spent 15 years in law enforcement and taught defensive driving techniques before becoming a lawyer, says that the use of this precision immobilization technique maneuver was unwarranted. And he says, why is this not called deadly force when it's used by a police officer? In a different article, it says here, the deputy wrote in his report that he was afraid for public safety because of construction zones that were 4 miles down the road. So she was charged with possession of a controlled substance for having 4 Oxycontin pills without prescription. So a lot of times you see bumper stickers with people that they're all about supporting the troops, which is nice and everything, but they don't understand that they're supporting killing farmers in other countries that have really no beef and that they're no threat to you at all, and you're going to go ahead and drone bomb them or do searches and seizures and whatever. That's somehow going to make you more free, that you're defending your freedom here in America by doing that, by supporting that. It says here, nation must care for those who fought for our freedom. So they fought for our freedom to become more free. Like I said before, in every war we actually lose freedom, we become less free. It says here, veterans' gun rights, a sticky issue with defense bill. And you have Senator Chuck Schumer talking with Senator Coburn. It says, should veterans deemed too mentally incompetent to handle their own financial affairs be prevented from buying a gun? So they're playing the left-right game as the Republican neocon has sought to amend the bill to stop the Veterans Affairs Department from putting their names of veterans deemed too mentally incompetent to handle their finances into a national instant criminal background check system which prohibits them from buying or owning firearms. Senator Chuck Schumer objected, saying the measure would make it easier for veterans with mental illnesses to own a gun, endangering themselves and the public. Now, let's not forget that Chuck Schumer is a Zionist, and he was pushing the national ID card system. Then another thing is what? The NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act. Actually, the newest version of the bill makes it easier to detain citizens indefinitely. So it says here, at first glance, the new version looked like it did more to protect Americans against indefinite detention. It says, we and other news organizations repeated as much yesterday, but on a closer examination of the new bill, it actually makes it easier to detain citizens indefinitely. It says, here's the added clause in the question, nothing that the AUMF or the 2012 NDAA shall be construed to deny the availability of writ of habeas corpus or to deny any constitutional rights in a court ordained or established by or under Article 3 of the Constitution for any person who is lawfully in the United States when detained pursuant to the bill who is otherwise entitled to such writ or such rights. It says yesterday, Business Insider focused on the line, nothing shall be construed to deny any constitutional rights, but today, after another interpretation from a lawyer for the group of journalists and activists suing the government over the National Defense Authorization Bill, says he explained that the new provision gives U.S. citizens a right to go to civilian court based on any constitutional rights, but since there are no rules in place to exercise this right, detained U.S. citizens currently have no way to gain access to lawyers, family, or the court itself once they are detained within the military. It says also, the bill goes further when it says the new statute actually states that persons lawfully in the United States can be detained under the authorization for use of military force. So it says that the original bill never went that far. Therefore, under the guise of supposedly adding protection to Americans, the new statute actually expands the AUMF to civilians in the United States. It will allow the military to indefinitely detain anyone who commits belligerent acts or provides substantial support to the Taliban or Al-Qaeda or associated forces. The government can still black bag any American from the Lew Rockwell blog. It says the Senate passed the much ballyhooed Feinstein-Lee amendment last night, which supposedly partially nullifies the provision of the Defense Authorization Act allowing for Americans to be kidnapped by the government and disappear without any charges or due process. And controlled opposition, Senator Rand Paul put out a press release declaring victory. But another Congressman Justin Amish points out that the wording effectively codifies tyranny. It's a question, why are there libertarians celebrating this passage when, rather than making us more free, it really only further enshrines the idea that the state grants and denies us our rights. Just like Chuck Schumer behind the taking guns from veterans, you have Dianne Feinstein says, turn them over. She moves to ban all assault rifles, high-capacity magazines, and pistol grips. So this is pretty interesting. This is actually from November 7th, 2012. And let's not forget that she's what? A Zionist. And remember, Zionists are fifth column in America. Israel or Israeli dual citizenship. Carl Levin has suspended the civil rights of Americans in another step to establishing a Zionist Illuminati police state in the once land of the free. A cardinal technique of the fifth column is the infiltration of sympathizers into the fabric of society of the nation under attack, and particularly into positions of policy decision and national defense. Let's not forget Bernanke and Greenspan over at the Federal Reserve System, because if you have the power to issue currency, you know, that's the most power you'll ever really need to run a country in the world. That was the Zionist Rothschild who actually said that. Hungry Jews protest over this MP's anti-Zionist remarks. So the hungry Jews are back. And I've covered this before, so this is the backlash. Jewish and civic groups have staged a demonstration in the Hungarian capital, Budapest, to protest against a far-right legislators' call to screen Jews as a national security risk. That's right, because if you're far-right, you're actually conservative. If you're far-left, you're actually progressive. But most people are usually in the middle because they're both the same. They don't stand for anything except for globalization, infiltration of your society and culture, destroying you basically in your lives, using you, sucking you like a vampire, all the life force from you. So the protesters on Sunday took part in a demonstration outside the parliament in Hungary, days after this lawmaker from a far-right party triggered anger by calling for a list of Jews to be drawn up following a debate on the 8-day Israeli war in the Gaza Strip. Goes on and he said that it was time to assess how many people of Jewish origin there are here in the country, and especially in the Hungarian parliament, says who represent a certain national security risk. And like 90% of other people, he later apologized for his remarks, but added that Hungary needed to be cautious of Zionist Israel and those serving also from here. Interesting comment. Someone said if we did this here in America, we would have gotten rid of 90% of Congress. Congress retains low honesty rating. Only 1 in 10 Americans rate the honesty and ethical standards of its members at a very high or high. This puts the lawmaking body second lowest on a list of 22 professions measured, higher only than a car salesman. Same thing with bankers. They've received a 37% honesty score in 2000-2006, but after the economic takeover, their perceived honesty plummeted to as low as 19% in 2009. Ex-spy chief says, get ready for a cyber 9/11. Says, we've had our warning, right? A cyber Pearl Harbor, a cyber 9/11. That means a false flag attack. This is why they're pushing this. How U.S. military hopes to turn the tides of cyber war with Plan X, to reach out to the private sector to help upgrade its military force to better be prepared in the digital age. That's protect themselves from you, from activists or other people. It says here, but you're wide open for your privacy. You don't have any privacy. It says here, access to private net phone use up by 20% without warrants. And this is in Australia. Ninth Circuit Court gives the okay for warrantless home video surveillance. It says, can law enforcement enter your house and use secret video camera to record intimate details? On Tuesday, the court unfortunately answered that question with yes. The Supreme Court also says it's okay to record revenue collectors in Illinois. And Facebook accused of a massive data grab with a service that automatically uploads your phone pictures. Says it will upload every single picture taken to the social network servers. It could use that data to build detailed databases of users' lives. That's your digital DNA, as they call it. Minnesota is developing GPS-based vehicle tracking systems intended to introduce a vehicle tax, which would entail a great deal of data constantly collected by the government and the whereabouts and everyday patterns of taxed vehicles. It says Vatican introduces a new security measure. It says here that the employees will be issued with RFID chips, tracking devices, to prevent a VatiLeaks or WikiLeaks scandal again. I saw an article that actually tied the Vatican with Pablo Escobar as well. You always hear propaganda coming out of Pakistan and Afghanistan about women's rights. Well, how about Saudi Arabia, right? Saudi Arabia introduces electronic tracking of women. Males will automatically receive text messages whenever their spouses, relatives, daughters pass through travel checkpoints. A school district aims to ease concerns over an isolation booth. Wow, that looks really nice, doesn't it? So the school principal defended the padded room is being used for students with behavioral disabilities. Kind of like shock treatment, they're actually referring to this as having therapeutic. It's a therapeutic tool for students with special needs. But most of the complaints are not coming from the parents who volunteered. It's coming from other parents. That's right. It says actually some of the 8 or 9 kids go voluntarily inside. So parents that do this, I don't know what to say. I think you're horrible people. Not only do you dump your kids in a re-education camp, but then you let them experiment on them, and this is just another step in that direction. Shocking UK kids arrest figures are revealed. It says more than 2,000 primary school-age children have been detained across Britain in the last year. Makes an average of 6 per day. That's a big trend now, arresting students at school. Just getting them used to a life of crime. Kind of like how going to school and ringing the bell and ask permission when to go to the bathroom and all that. That's training them to be good consumers and good workers, employees getting up for the daily grind. In Texas, a teacher rewards program charges second graders bucks, Boyd bucks for bathroom breaks. Talk about social engineering. You need money for everything, including to piss. Honor roll student needed to go to the bathroom, but he sat down and peed in his pants because he didn't have these Boyd bucks. Also, you have private prison, Corrections Corporation of America using drug sweeps of public school students. That's a condition for SWAT teams rating, which is why they're 300 extra hours of brainwashing school in 2013. But first, they should be tested for mental illnesses. Thank you.